When we think of surveillance, images of security cameras, data networks, and wiretapped communications immediately spring to mind. Yet, beyond the realm of silicon and satellites, lies an elusive, metaphysical dimension, one rooted in belief systems, occult practices, and even extraterrestrial lore. The notion that unseen forces monitor us has permeated human culture for centuries. In this investigative report, we explore how modern governments and secretive organizations may be leveraging age-old esoteric symbolism and psychological manipulation to create apparatus of surveillance that reaches deep into the human psyche. Introduction in today's digital age. Surveillance is usually associated with technology. Think facial recognition, digital tracking, and mass data harvesting. However, an obscure undercurrent challenges this conventional view: the role of metaphysical surveillance. This concept suggests that belief systems, particularly those involving extraterrestrials, paranoia, and altered states of consciousness, can enable unconventional techniques of observation and control that transcend the limits of physical technology. Secretive groups, both governmental and occult, are believed to employ esoteric rituals and symbolic manipulation to harness our psychological predispositions. Their methods rely not on cutting-edge gadgets alone, but on leveraging the human mind's susceptibility to suggestion and myth. At the heart of this phenomenon lies the all-seeing eye, a symbol forever associated with divine oversight, eternal vigilance, and, as some claim, metaphysical control. This article delves deep into how fear, psychosis, and occult practices converge into a hidden system of psychic observation and behavioral manipulation, posing profound questions about the nature of power and influence in modern society. Belief in aliens and the expansion of perceptual awareness. The modern myth of extraterrestrial beings has, in many ways, reshaped our collective imagination. From little green men to enigmatic UFO sightings, the idea that alien entities monitor Earth has gained unprecedented traction. But beyond its sci-fi allure, this belief plays a crucial role in expanding perceptual awareness among its followers and, consequently, in altering human behavior. A cosmic gaze for many, the notion of an extraterrestrial overwatch evokes a sense of vulnerability and constant exposure. Believers in alien surveillance often report heightened sensitivity to environmental cues. They discern patterns and connections where none might objectively exist, a tendency that researchers argue is intrinsic to the human fear of the unknown. This heightened state of awareness can lead to what some call cognitive hypervigilance, where the mind is perpetually on alert for signs of hidden observers. Psychological underpinnings. Cognitive scientists have noted that individuals who subscribe to UFO-related theories often display a marked increase in pattern detection and interpretive bias. This is not entirely surprising. In the absence of clear, rational explanations, human brains tend to weave narratives that provide comfort or elucidation. Here, the very belief in extraterrestrial watchers serves as a psychological tool, a stand-in for the abstract notion that someone or something is always watching. This mirrors the familiar governmental mantra encapsulated in Orwellian themes. Big Brother is always watching. Government experimentation. Historical records reveal that intelligence agencies have long been fascinated by UFO phenomena. Projects like Blue Book in the United States and dubious ties to research initiatives reminiscent of MKUltra suggest that state actors have often probed the psychological dimensions of these beliefs. By examining how exposure to extraterrestrial narratives influences human cognition, these agencies may have uncovered a hidden aspect of control, one that exploits the innate human need for order and certainty in an otherwise unpredictable world. Misinformation and manipulation. It is plausible that governments have intentionally disseminated or amplified certain alien narratives to induce a state of self-surveillance among the populace. By nurturing a belief that an omnipotent cosmic intelligence constantly monitors us, authorities might subtly encourage behaviors aligned with state control behaviors that favor compliance, conformity, and a decreased likelihood of questioning authority. This exploitation of the alien mythos serves as an insidious form of psychological manipulation, reinforcing the idea that nonconformity could invite unwanted scrutiny. Through these mechanisms, the belief in alien observation transcends simple science fiction. It becomes an active, psychological tool that reshapes our very sense of awareness and self-regulation. The second, the psychological manipulation of paranoia. Paranoia is more than a clinical diagnosis. It is a potent force that can transform perception. In a society where being watched, even if only in one's mind, is equated with deviance or danger, paranoia emerges as an effective means of social control. The hyper-awareness effect. Paranoia rewires the brain. When individuals live with the persistent fear of being monitored, their cognitive functions adapt to this dread. Hypervigilance becomes the norm. Every creak in the hallway, every unexpected shadow, is cataloged as potential evidence of surveillance. This constant state of alert drains mental energy and fosters an environment where even mundane events become riddled with sinister significance. This psychological state of constant alert is not inherently pathological in a dangerous world. Caution can be life-saving. However, when paranoia is amplified by external narratives and omnipresent symbols, the results go beyond self-protection. They morph into a form of engineered behavior, one that encourages people to regulate themselves in anticipation of being scrutinized. In effect, the mind becomes the battleground on which surveillance is waged. Self-surveillance, the internal watchdog. One of the most fascinating outcomes of heightened paranoia is self-surveillance, where individuals start policing their own behavior without any overt coercion. This is not merely a behavioral adjustment, but a fundamental shift in consciousness. The idea that someone is always watching compels people to comply with societal norms, even in the absence of actual monitoring devices. This phenomenon has deep roots in history. The panopticon, a design conceptualized by social theorist Jeremy Bentham, posits that the possibility of constant observation is enough to regulate behavior. When the possibility of surveillance is internalized, it transforms into an internal watchdog, ensuring conformity out of sheer fear and anxiety. Cultivating distrust. Psychological manipulation via media and symbolic communication is another potent tool for fostering paranoia. By saturating environments with symbols of surveillance like the ubiquitous all-seeing eye, authorities can induce a pervasive sense of distrust. This manipulation subverts traditional epistemic structures, where truth becomes murky, and reality is seen as a stage manipulated by unseen puppeteers. The deliberate cultivation of this distrust destabilizes critical thought. When citizens believe that all interactions are subject to manipulation, skepticism becomes the default mode of perception. In turn, this skepticism is absorbed into a broader sense of helplessness, simplifying the logic of authoritarian control. It is no longer necessary to physically monitor every behavior. The very fear of surveillance ensures that individuals police themselves, leaving them less likely to challenge the established order. The third, psychosis and perceptual alteration. An esoteric approach to surveillance in the shadowy corridors of the mind, psychosis stands out as a dramatic transformation of perception. Characterized by distorted sensory experiences, auditory hallucinations, and a breakdown of conventional thinking, psychosis can be reinterpreted through an esoteric lens. For some occult traditions, these alterations in consciousness unveil hidden realms, making the mind itself a site for metaphysical surveillance. Unlocking hidden realms. Esoteric sectors have long posited that the human mind holds doors to dimensions unseen by ordinary perception. In these traditions, what we clinically label as psychosis might instead be an inadvertent opening to otherworldly knowledge. Proponents of remote viewing, a practice studied by government projects like Stargate, argue that individuals in altered states of consciousness may access realms of reality inaccessible by normal senses. Historically, mystics and shamans have utilized altered states induced by ritual, fasting, or entheogens to achieve visions of cosmic truth. In this context, psychosis is recharged as a gateway to transcendental understanding. Such states, though fraught with personal turmoil, are believed to enable a form of surveillance where the mind reaches out to the ether, tapping into a universal consciousness that no conventional sensor can detect. historical experimentation, and occult rituals throughout history. Secretive organizations from ancient mystery schools to modern intelligence agencies have been fascinated by these transformative Tungran mental states. Cryptic ritual practices have often employed techniques meant to destabilize ordinary cognition, thus opening up pathways to what some may call psychic intelligence. Clandestine groups have reportedly conducted experiments that embrace the chaos of the inner mind, harnessing these states to extract hidden knowledge or even predict future events. Cases from the Cold War era, such as the controversial Stargate project, highlight this intersection of the metaphysical and intelligence gathering. While officially debunked in later years, the project's existence calls into question the extent to which altered consciousness was exploited as a surveillance tool. The radical idea being that the mind, when operating outside its typical parameters, can extend the capabilities of surveillance far beyond technological limits. The mind as a surveillance tool, herein lies the radical notion. If certain mental conditions can unlock expanded perceptual fields, then these altered states might be reconfigured as tools rather than disorders. In the labyrinth of the human psyche, what is normally seen as a breakdown in rationality could be harnessed as an advantage, a way to perceive overlooked details, intercept subconscious messages, and even influence the perceptions of others. For those in secretive institutions, this presents a tantalizing possibility, a surveillance method that operates not from cameras or drones, but from the vast, untapped potential of the human mind. Occult practitioners and experimental psychologists have, at various times, traded insights and rituals designed to exploit these altered states. In controlled conditions or even when the subject is unaware, such techniques may stimulate a form of psychic surveillance, wherein the subject's mind acts as an extension of a larger, clandestine apparatus. This interplay between altered perception and external control blurs the line separating madness from mystical insight. The fourth, the all-seeing eye. Symbolism, paranoia, and occult control. No discussion of metaphysical surveillance would be complete without delving into the powerful symbolism of the all-seeing eye. Known widely as the Eye of Providence, this emblem has been woven into the fabric of both governmental iconography and occult mysticism. Its presence on currency, in architecture, and throughout secret society rituals imbues it with a dual identity, a symbol of divine oversight and a tool for psychological manipulation. Historical and esoteric origins, the all-seeing eye traces its lineage back to ancient civilizations. In Egyptian mythology, the Eye of Horus symbolized protection, healing, and restoration. Later, in the mystical traditions of Freemasonry and Hermeticism, the eye evolved into a representation of omniscience, an ever-watchful force that could see into the soul. This historical continuity gave the symbol its potent duality. While it can be seen as an emblem of enlightenment and divine grace, it is equally capable of inducing a sense of being constantly scrutinized. During the Enlightenment, as secret societies flourished in the West, the all-seeing eye was adopted as a marker of hidden knowledge. It emerged in artwork and architecture, becoming synonymous with power and secret influence. Modern conspiracy theories have further amplified its role, asserting that its usage in government motifs is no accident, but rather a deliberate signal of a pervasive surveillance state. Psychological impact and symbolic fear. Modern societies are saturated with the imagery of the all-seeing eye. It appears on the US dollar bill, in governmental monuments, and throughout popular media. This constant recurring image is not benign. It acts as a subliminal signal, embedding the idea of perpetual observation deep within collective consciousness. When citizens encounter the symbol regularly, they subconsciously absorb its implications. Their behavior shifts subtly to be more cautious, more self-regulating, much as if they were under the unblinking gaze of an omnipresent authority. This psychological effect, known as symbolic fear, functions effectively as a tool of control. People begin to internalize the notion that their every move is being watched, a belief that naturally aligns with the doctrines of self-surveillance. The resultant paranoia is not merely a byproduct of mental distress, but a carefully engineered state meant to empower those who control the symbols. Whether through deliberate propaganda or the historical weight of mystic tradition, the all-seeing eye reinforces the idea that some unseen power is always in control. Occult mechanisms for remote perception. The occult tradition does not stop at the psychological impact of symbols. Many esoteric practices assert that symbols like the all-seeing eye have functional metaphysical properties, acting as gateways to an astral plane of consciousness. Rituals involving the eye incorporate meditative states, sigil magic, and ceremonial rites designed to unlock latent psychic abilities. In these practices, the symbol becomes more than a representation. It is an active participant in the process of observation and remote surveillance. Through these rituals, practitioners believe they can tap into a universal consciousness, extending their senses beyond physical reality. Such practices have been used by secret societies as part of their covert research programs, exploring how metaphysical observation might be systematized and harnessed for broader surveillance purposes. In essence, the all-seeing eye blurs the line between the seen and the unseen, merging mythological power with modern methods of control. V. The esoteric engineering of surveillance in institutions, if belief systems, paranoia, altered mental states, and robust symbols can expand human perception, the logical extension is that they might be engineered deliberately within institutions. Intelligence agencies and occult organizations have reportedly exploited these very mechanisms, embedding esoteric practices into the framework of surveillance programs. Weaponized symbolism in public spaces consider the deliberate placement of the all-seeing eye on public currency and architectural structures. Such embedded symbolism is not merely decorative, it serves as a constant, subliminal reminder of surveillance. By integrating these potent images into everyday settings, governments may be subtly conditioning citizens to accept the idea of constant oversight. This method is akin to a psychological injunction, where repeated exposure gradually transforms public perception, aligning behavior with state interests. Historically, the use of symbols as instruments of psychological warfare is well documented. From wartime propaganda posters to ubiquitous branding, the power of visual stimuli to shape collective behavior is undeniable. In this light, the incorporation of the all-seeing eye into public iconography can be seen as part of a broader strategy to harness and stabilize public consciousness, ensuring that self-surveillance becomes a balsam moral. Natural, internalized process. Occult rituals within intelligence frameworks beyond the public scope. Rumors and leaked documents suggest that secret societies and intelligence agencies have incorporated esoteric rituals into their operational protocols. These practices are designed not only to bolster internal morale and group cohesion among operatives, but also to experiment with the boundaries of perception and cognition. Rituals that combine meditation, trance states, and symbolic enactments may provide access to enhanced intuition or even the ability to intercept subliminal messages. One famous example is the U.S. government's now defunct Stargate project, which explored the prospects of remote viewing where operatives claim to gain insights about distant targets solely through mental focus. While the official record dismisses such projects as pseudoscience, the mere existence of these endeavors lends credence to the possibility that altered states of consciousness could be harnessed as part of a metaphysical surveillance toolkit. Whether viewed as scientific overreach or occult experimentation, these programs underline a persistent interest in controlling the mind's hidden capacities. Psychic influence via symbolic engineering in a world increasingly dominated by digital surveillance. Traditional methods are merging with metaphysical ones in unexpected ways. The esoteric engineering of surveillance involves not just the physical monitoring of behavior, but the active shaping of internal belief systems. This dual approach, combining external observation with internal control, creates a feedback loop where individuals become both the subjects and agents of surveillance. This phenomenon is particularly evident in environments where trust in institutions has eroded. When people are bombarded with the idea of constant oversight through both technological means and the ancient, mysterious language of symbols, they are more likely to internalize a state of self-monitoring. Their minds become, in effect, living sensors, a fusion of conditioned behavior and altered perception that reinforces the surveillance apparatus from within. In secretive circles, the interplay of New Age psychological principles and Old World ritual has given rise to what some call metaphysical engineering. This approach seeks to harness the latent psychic potential of the human mind, embedding it as a functional component within a larger surveillance network. Whether through ritualized inductions of altered states or the deliberate conditioning of citizens via repeated symbolic cues, this paradigm posits that the mind itself is the ultimate frontier of observation. Conclusion: surveillance beyond technology. The convergence of paranoia, altered states, esoteric traditions, and occult symbolism presents a picture of surveillance that extends far beyond the realm of cameras and data streams. Instead, it operates on a more profound level within the fabric of human consciousness. By embedding mystical practices, symbolic imagery, and psychological conditioning into the everyday experience, institutions may be cultivating a system of metaphysical surveillance that functions from within the mind itself. The implications of this are as unsettling as they are fascinating. On one hand, the idea that our perceptions and beliefs can be manipulated to such an extent challenges our notions of free will and individuality. On the other hand, it opens up a realm of inquiry into how ancient wisdom and modern technology might intersect to shape our collective future. Is it possible that the techniques once relegated to the realm of secret societies and fringe mysticism have now become an integral part of statecraft? And if so, what does this say about the nature of control in our society? That historical examples from Project Blue Book's investigation of UFO lore to the controversial experiments of the Stargate Project offer tantalizing hints. While definitive proof of a fully operational metaphysical surveillance system remains elusive, the evidence suggests that both governmental and occult institutions have long been interested in exploring the boundaries of the human mind. The all-seeing eye, as both an ancient symbol and a modern icon, epitomizes this enigmatic interplay between visible power and unseen control. Its recurring presence in art, architecture, and official emblems works to instill a sense of constant observation, a state that, in turn, compels self-regulation and conformity. Symbolic fear becomes internalized, guiding behavior even when no physical monitors are present. Moreover, the deliberate use of altered mental states, whether as a byproduct of paranoia or a goal of occult rituals, further blurs the line between natural human instinct and engineered behavior. When the mind itself is conditioned to perceive threat and surveillance even in the absence of external triggers, it becomes an unwitting participant in its own subjugation. As we peer into the shadowy nexus of belief, paranoia, and esoteric practices, one truth stands out: surveillance is no longer confined to technologies of the external world. It has permeated the very core of our being, harnessing the ancient power of symbols and the modern mastery of psychological manipulation. This is a realm where the psyche, vulnerable yet potent, serves as both the target and the instrument of observation. As scholars, investigators, and everyday citizens begin to question the true nature of control, a deeper interdisciplinary exploration into the esoteric dimensions of surveillance becomes inevitable. Whether through rigorous psychological studies, declassified intelligence documents, or even renewed scholarly interest in occult traditions, the challenge will be to untangle this web of belief and reality. The ultimate question remains: are these methods merely relics of fringe psychology and mystical tradition, or do they reveal a deliberate strategy to harness the power of human consciousness itself? In uncovering this overlooked dimension of control, we are forced to confront unsettling dilemmas about the balance between security and freedom, the visible and the hidden, technology and tradition. As the digital age marches on, the collision between conventional surveillance methods and metaphysical strategies will only grow more complex. The specter of metaphysical surveillance forces us to reconsider our understanding of privacy. not simply as a matter of physical space, but as a sanctuary of the mind, a realm that, if compromised, could render Ran-Ba individual freedom obsolete. Ultimately, the maze of metaphysical surveillance challenges us to look beyond the obvious and decipher the symbols, stories, and states of consciousness that shape our daily lives. It calls on us to question whether we are truly free, or if our perception is meticulously curated by forces both seen and unseen. The investigation into this shadowy confluence is just beginning, and its revelations may redefine our notions of control, observation, and the very nature of reality itself. As we step back from the surface of high-tech surveillance systems, the underlying strategies that manipulate human perception emerge as formidable players in the drama of control. It is here, at the crossroads of ancient mysticism and modern statecraft, that metaphysical surveillance takes shape, a hidden, pervasive network that operates not through wires and signals, but through the beliefs that govern our minds. With every symbol that appears, every ritual performed, and every rumor of extraterrestrial observation, the line between myth and material control becomes ever more blurred. In the intersection of these realms lies a profound inquiry about the nature of power. Is it ultimately about what we monitor out there, or what we allow to influence us within? This exploration is not merely academic. It speaks to the heart of contemporary debates about freedom, privacy, and the manipulation of consciousness. As we continue to advance technologically, it is crucial not to overlook the equally powerful tools of belief and symbolism that have shaped, and continue to shape, our understanding of the world. The phenomenon of metaphysical surveillance invites us to delve deep into the intricate interplay between psychological states and external control measures, a journey that is as unsettling as it is illuminating. In doing so, we may eventually come to realize that the most pervasive surveillance is not that of cameras or satellites, but the subtle, unseen influence that governs our thoughts, perceptions, and ultimately, our behavior.